And looks like we're live. So, hey, Rich, or hey, guys, this is Rich. Thanks for tuning in to Kansas City's Networking Connection. And I'm here with Darron DeBoer. And first, I want to get this out of the way. We've got our official, unofficial disclaimer. So, for the record, we are not giving, nor we will ever be giving legal, investment, or health advice on this channel. Our opinions are our own. And if you need those services, you should seek competent advisors in those fields. This information is presented for entertainment purposes only. You have been warned, and the idea for this group is behind the Zig Ziglar quote. You can get everything in life you want if you just help other people get what they want. That's kind of my goal in this. And I'd like to introduce Darron, he is in a fortunate position in 2021. Not only did his net worth go up because his house value went up because I moved away as his neighbor. I mean, that was the one thing right away. Everything shot up in value in his life because I was no longer next door. So no longer random eggs getting thrown at the wrong house or anything fun like that. So I've known Darron for a long time, and he's got a very interesting story about shooting. So Darron, why don't you take it over and give us kind of the breakdown and let everybody know how you got into this cool little sport you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So like Rich mentioned, we were longtime neighbors quite a few years here, and miss having him, but we do have some good neighbors now too. So like them. I grew up farm kid in the country, moved to the city after college to get a job, and wife and I settled here. Then always looking for things to get out of town, right, to do. Grew up in outdoors, and that's what I wanted to do a lot of hunting and fishing and stuff like that, and eventually kind of got back into competitive shooting. And so for a couple of years I've been shooting what's called precision steel. It's in our National Rifle League or Precision Rifle League, NRL or PRS, and particularly in the rimfire series. And for almost a year now, I've been a factory sponsored Bergara and Athlon competitor. So it's opened a lot of doors and met some really interesting people. And so I talk guns with Rich too.
Yeah. So that was awesome. And I remember you started this you've been doing it about 3 years now, right? Is that right? It was right before COVID, wasn't it? When you kind of got started?
Yeah. So I actually did some competitive shooting back in college and then right afterwards, but then, work gets busy with your first big boy job and family and all that stuff. So kind of got out of it. But then kids got a little older and things changed at work a little bit. So about 3 years or so ago, really got serious back into it, and it's been real fun.
Yeah, I remember when you came and told me, you're like, "Hey, you got to go do this stuff," and I was like, "Yeah, that'd be cool," but I was timed out, man. I had too many things going on at that time, but it's been pretty interesting to watch you. And by the way, if you guys are watching this on whatever platform you're watching, Darron's contact info and pages and YouTube and all that fun stuff are in the description. So go to his page, like and share this video with other people who you might want to know who might want to get started in this, because that's the whole point of this video, is trying to help people who are interested in, because Darron needs some, obviously, more competitors. He's crushed everybody almost. So, I mean, it'd be good to have somebody else go out and keep him humble. So, but anyway, and then, so you've been doing this for a little bit over almost 3 years, right? That's because that's question number 2.
Yeah, more or less. Getting, this is kind of my second, I guess, venture into it.
Yeah, and how many on average on that? Because you do bolt action gun, like on one of those tournaments, how many rounds do you go through in a tourney?
Yeah, so the series I shoot, most matches you'll burn through maybe 100 or 150 rounds. So it's not crazy. No, the competition isn't where you burn through the money. It's the deciding you want to practice and put some effort into it. So,
and all the gear and all the fun stuff that nobody sponsors you for initially, but then you finally get good enough to get the sponsors,
which ends up costing you more money in the long term.
Yes.
So needless to say, I'm not saving any money. It's like what I tell my wife.
Yeah, right. Yeah. She's not watching, so we're not going to let her watch this video.
Right.
So,
she better be at work.
Yes. So what were the biggest issues getting started with this?
Yeah. So I'm by nature kind of introverted, I have a hard time stepping out and just trying something brand new. Like I said, I'd done some competition stuff before, but it was always with a friend that kind of drug me along. And so what happened was 3 years or so ago, this same friend said, "Hey, this series is going on here in Kansas City. We should get into this. Come with me and we'll do this." So I got all set up. We were going to do it. And then he moved and left me high and dry, which, Nick, I'm still a little grumpy at you for that. But I followed through. I decided I'm going to do this. I didn't know a single person there. I went out and did it, and it was a ton of fun. And now it's kind of my way to meet a whole bunch of new people and really interested in it. So even if you're kind of introverted, take a chance. If it sounds interesting, go do it.
Yeah, it's worth it. I mean, you learn so much from it, if nothing else, right? So,
yep, absolutely.
And then, I watched one of your videos on your YouTube page, which was interesting about, how you were shooting and having the gun, the scope zoomed in so far that you had to move your head and stuff. It was a great video, and I think that's really for anybody who's doing shooting, competitive, or just shooting out, going hunting. I mean, the less you move your head, the better off you are, right? So. It was a very good video with both sides of the GoPro on your head to show the movement or lack thereof.
And like everything, there's a ton of good tutorials out there on what to do and how to do it, led by a bunch of really sharp professionals. I'm not that. I mess up a lot. So I learn from my mistakes. Maybe you can too. And I'm not afraid to talk about all the times I've messed up.
Right. Well, that's how we become wise. I heard. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm still working on it.
Yeah, you got to survive all those experiences.
Right. So, what was the biggest issue with getting started?
Really, to me, it was just taking a chance on something new where I didn't know anybody, and then realizing that I don't know a whole lot about this. It's going to take me a little bit of time to get up to speed, and there's going to be struggles, and there's going to be some bad days. There's going to be good days. But if you enjoy it, you got to push through.
Did anybody tell you it wouldn't work?
No,
going out and doing this.
No, the competitive shooting community in general is extremely supportive of new people. And our biggest advice to anybody is, if this looks remotely interesting at all, just come do it. People will help you through it. Nobody's going to put you down. Nobody's going to criticize you. We're going to help you through it.
I would agree. I think the other thing too, and you can probably comment on this part, that group also is a great resource for technical stuff, as well as spare parts and used equipment and things. If you really want to get started, you can really load up on some really good quality gear for a lot less than you would go find it somewhere else.
Yeah. And like any other thing, the diversity of the people that are in the shooting sports is incredible. I've expanded my network of professionals and technical people crazy, because all these people have day jobs too, right? This isn't paying the bills.
This hobby.
This isn't paying the bills for most people, me included. So we all have day jobs, and this is sometimes our escape. But now I know who to call for a lot of things.
I'm just excited when I see you at SHOT Show in the future that you'll be recognize me. That'll be a first. So you'll be the guy signing the posters.
I was hoping to be there this year, but schedule didn't work out. So maybe next year.
I understand. I'm still debating on whether I want to go or if I want to buy a ticket or drive.
Yeah.
With the flight stuff.
If you go by the Bergar and Athlon booths. I'll
mention that I was here to see you sign autographs. So
yeah.
Do you love what you do now?
Most days, yeah. So like I said, this competitive shooting, that's not my real job. I'm an environmental consultant. Most of the time, it's a pretty good job. Like anything, there's days you just have to get through and do your job. But then again, surround yourself with good people, have good people on your team, dependable people, be approachable, and it works out pretty well.
Awesome. And how did you find this job? We're going to call your shooting job a job. How did you find that I mean, honestly, I know you said somebody basically stiffed you and didn't show up, but I mean, was it, like how would somebody, if they were going to go find it now, what would be the best way to go find that?
Yeah, so getting involved in competition, there's the organizations that host these all have web pages. We all have Facebook groups. Just find a match and go show up. Tell people you're new, and they'll help you through it. As far as making connections with the industry, that all kind of happened through matches and social media and all that kind of stuff. And I actually didn't approach anybody on that. They kind of found me. So again, be approachable, be friendly, don't be controversial, and
Right.
people will find you.
It never hurts that when the results come out and you're like one or two, people start noticing. So that always helps.
Well, yeah, and when I'm talking to potential sponsors or whatever, I'm upfront and I said, this is not my full-time job. I'm not always going to be winning everything, but I'm going to be a friendly face, and I'm going to talk to people, and I'm going to encourage people to get involved. And as far as a lot of things, that's what people are after, right?
100%. I mean, you are going to be their brand ambassador. You can't act like me all the time. You gotta tone it down. So
well, and there's different companies want different images, right?
sure.
But really, none of them want people that are starting fights.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So so then if someone was watching wanted to follow the same path, would you recommend doing the same way you did, or is there a better way?
Yeah, with the competitive shooting, really you just have to jump in and meet people, because
And
you'll
could you
find
show up
out.
with one of these with like a Ruger 1022, or does it have to be a bolt action?
Absolutely. Nope,
So you don't have to
absolutely.
have like thousands of dollars out there. You can just be a good shooter.
Nope, absolutely. You don't even have to be a good shooter. Heck, I'm
Oh,
not a good shooter.
okay.
What in fact, you don't have to have, if you come shoot with us, you don't have to have any equipment. I'll hook you up.
Oh,
We've got a
well, that's
couple extras just to get, that first bump is free, right? Just to get you
right.
hooked. So show up, have an open mind, watch, listen, be safe. That's all it takes.
Awesome. Well, so there you go. You folks who are watching, you just heard him say he has an extra rifle for you to try. So I don't know if anybody's going to make it any easier than that. So, um,
Absolutely.
and then the folks out there watching this, what do you need help with right now? That if they're watching, you'd say, hey, look, I really need this, that, or the other thing. What would that be?
I need all the cargo ships that are parked at port to start unloading stuff, because it's starting to get a little scary for anything that's imported,
It
as
is.
everybody knows. Um, I have a bunch of great folks that support me, and I try to support other people. I think the big thing from the industry side is just be patient. Everybody is trying the best that they can, and nobody likes the situation we've found ourselves in, with things being slow and hard to keep labor and all that. Just be patient. We're doing the best we can.
It is tough, and I mean, I even have issues with holster. It's not the leather, not all this. It's the little widgets that go in there
Yep.
that you just go, man, that's a rubber O-ring. Why is this so
Yep.
hard to find? But it's amazing what's not there right now. So, do you have a mentor for this venture that you're on?
Yeah, well, I had one that got me started. Like I said, he was the gentleman that moved away. He taught me
Not the
a
best
lot.
mentor if he's moving away.
Well, I went to college with him, so I had 2 years
Okay.
solid with him and learned a lot of stuff. And with a lot of things, shooting sports or anything, what besides just getting out and doing it and practicing, a lot of it's mental, right? And you need
Right.
somebody to support you that says you can do it, and this is how you can do it. It's not always going to turn out the way you want it to, but you learn from it. You put that behind you. I have a little phrase taped to the scope of my competition rig that came from this other gentleman, and he calls it a one-shot match, meaning you put all your effort, all your focus into that one shot you are about to take. You learn from the previous ones, hit or miss. You can't change it. It's been fired.
Right.
It's done. Learn from it if you can, but focus on this one. Don't worry about the next one because you're not there yet. So focus on what you're going to do right now.
I think that's great advice, because I think too often people focus on what's already happened and
Yep.
go, well, I mean, I failed at that. I can never do anything else and whatever. It's like, man, yeah, that failure just propelled you to your next success.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And you want to have a plan for the future, right? You can't go into everything blind. But your successes aren't built on what's going to happen tomorrow. It's what you're doing right now about it.
exactly.
And you can't change anything, success or failure in the past. That's been written. Learn from it, move on.
That's the thing. I mean, I'm constantly thinking, how am I building the foundation for what's going to happen? And, without a good solid foundation, you won't have anything. I don't care if it's a house or whatever. And so people too often just go, well, I just don't even want to start, or they get discouraged early on. And it's like, just keep going, man. Just don't even stop. So if I listen to all the voices in my head, which is several, who knows what would have happened. So, and how did you find that mentor? You went to college with him? Is that?
Yeah, for the shooting sports, I just happened to luck into making this association. We went to grad school together. We got assigned the same office. And when you have a couple of guys with similar interests crammed in a small space for 2 years, you bounce a lot of stuff off of each other. If you don't have that opportunity, if you're going into something brand new, blind, talk to the people that are already in there, and they will either offer to help you, or they will say, hey, this person is the person you need to be talking to, you need to be listening to. And if they're not approachable, they might not be the right mentor for you. I've found that if you put yourself out there, good mentors will somehow find you. And I don't know how that works, but that says a lot about them.
Well, and my advice to everybody would be, if you find a mentor or a person who you think is going to be your mentor, and they go, hey, look, do these things, I would do them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're not going to be your mentor for very long. They're going to be like, I'm wasting my time with this person. I run into this frequently with people, and it's like, oh yeah, I want to do what you do, and I do this list, and the list doesn't get done. Well, guess what? You're not going to be like me, and we're just moving on.
Yeah.
So
and there's a lot of things that there's no prescription for success, right? You can say, hey, here's my story. Here's some suggestions. I would try them, and hit or miss, give it a shot. It may work, it may not, but in the end, you're going to learn something from it. So
that's right. So how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so I think you dumped a lot of my contact info down in the video links here. You can text, call, message me, Facebook, Instagram. You can get on YouTube and say how much my videos suck and all that, and that's fine.
The algorithm.
I may or may not respond if you're going to be grumpy, but in the end, I'm doing the best that I can, and I'm approachable. I'll respond to you.
Well, and I think too, a lot of those people who are doing that, if you notice, they aren't doing anything on their channel. So it's a whole lot easier to go complain somewhere else. So
yeah, I've found generally the people that are being negative or being trolling, whatever, aren't really positively contributing too much. And then again, sometimes some people just have a personality that isn't terribly pleasant, and that's fine. Don't let those people get you down.
You're a lot nicer than me. I just say they're assholes, but anyway. So
well,
there's that.
There is that.
So anyway, well, any final thoughts before we let everybody go?
No, I would say that we're in this age of social media and instant contact and all that kind of stuff, and I struggle a lot with it too. should I say something? Should I post something? Whatever. And in the end, I've decided that if I'm not going to be able to say something kind, if I'm not going to contribute, if I'm not sure of the facts behind something I'm going to say, if I'm not open to discuss it, it's probably best I just leave it alone, right? But this is how we are going to communicate from now on, right? The days of the magazines and the newspapers and all that kind of stuff, they're on their way out. And so everything's going to be fast. Everything's going to be online. Let's try to be kind if we can.
I think that's a great thing to think. I mean, honestly, I think there's just far too much of people thinking there is no recourse for whatever they do because, hey, I'm just going to drop it and forget about it. And who cares what, I think if more people were apt to say, look, I'm not going to comment on something unless I actually have the facts and know, I think I have a hard time with, there's many years on city council where I'm like, I gotta say something because they're wrong.
That wasn't specifically addressed to you, by the way.
Well, I know. I'm just saying. I'm getting better about calling people out for being ignorant. That I think that was my hang up when I'd be like, "Hey, you just don't know anything," and I'm going to go show everybody. Now I'm like, everybody already knows. I'm maturing, I guess, as I get older. Go figure.
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things. I'm willing to discuss almost anything on social media or face to face or whatever, but the instant somebody becomes insulting or hostile or incredibly defensive, that's kind of where I decide, well, it might be best to part ways. And because once somebody's entrenched and not willing to actually talk, you're not going to get anywhere.
Right. You're not going to change their mind. I mean, even if you do, they're not going to tell you that you did it. Right.
Absolutely.
So you're just wasting effort typing.
Yeah. So. And like anything, for some reason, I don't like to admit I'm wrong, but I'm wrong a lot. And if we can't accept that, being wrong doesn't make you a horrible person. Being misinformed doesn't make you a horrible person. But somehow we've got this we're all wrapped up in this. If you're wrong, you're an awful, awful person. Or if I don't believe, the same things you do, you're an awful person. Wow, that's not going to help anybody.
That's the thing. It's funny because everybody thinks I'm this weird, crazy tyrant. And I'm like, I have worse friends than anybody else. People who believe, I think there's even some flat earthers out there. And I'm like, whatever, guys, it's your thing. So good luck. But anyway, I think that's great advice for everybody. So, anyway, well, I thank you for making time today, and don't forget to go and watch Darron's other videos. His links are out there, and then reach out to him if you're interested in competitive shooting, because he's the guy who's going to know a lot of people. We just got an Earth is flat comment, so on Facebook. I told you they're out there. So,
if the Earth was flat, I wouldn't have to adjust for it in my ballistics software, and that would make things a lot easier. But
in your day job as a geologist, that would probably, when we're drilling the holes, wouldn't that show up?
Well, I haven't been able to punch a hole deep enough to come out the other side yet. Okay. But
now we have a goal for 2022.
Yeah. Flat earthers are people too. Show me some science behind it, and I'll talk to you about it. That's fine.
It's going to be a fun conversation. Hey, be sure to record that for us. We'd love to follow up. So. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching, and we appreciate you guys. So thanks a lot and have a great day.
Hey, thanks.